Ahem. Yo! Hello, chat. Hello, chat. Hello, chat. Hello, chat. Hello, chat. Everybody say hi. Everybody say hi. Everybody say hi. If you don't say hi, I'm exploding you with my mind right now. Alright. We have a good stream today. How's everybody doing? Is anybody there? Am I speaking into the abyss? Hey, Bear Clops. Got some Honkai Star Rail lo-fi. Got some good stuff today. Other than the lo-fi, of course. We are watching spooky, scary videos despite it being daylight out and super bright. We are going to watch some spooky scaries. And then I got a surprise game after that. Alright. So, I've been watching a little bit of Queso. And I thought he had a really funny stream the other night where he was watching scary videos, I'm pretty sure, and then he lagged and got off, but he got back on. And he, like, was driving around on his 4x4, like, Polaris thingy, like, little four-wheeler type deal. And he was, like, driving around his property and stuff, and it was spooky, scary, and I was like, damn, what if he sees a Bigfoot? You know? So, I wanted to watch some scary forest videos, specifically foresty, like maybe cryptids, maybe Bigfoot, aliens. Who knows? Everything could be in the forest, bro. We could have fucking cannibals. But here's the thing. We want them to be real. Or stuff like this. That looks like some dude from Harry Potter. Why does he got the matching maroon fit two-piece suit? Alright. Need something good. Chilling scares. We could just watch it for the memes, maybe. Actually, you know what? Yeah. We're gonna watch it for the memes to, like,
Daniel O'Neill is a YouTuber from the UK.
Before I go any further, and you actually hear it, please tell me you can hear this.
Okay, with a channel called English Woodsman, where he's been uploading videos of his wild camping, stealth camping, and woodland camping trips in the UK for almost 10 years. Most of the channel's videos feature Daniel reviewing camping gear for his viewers and showing footage of his adventures in the great outdoors. For the most part, they're pretty tame, but in August 2023, he uploaded a video of his camping trip in the woodlands close to his home.
Alright, I need to go back, I need to lock in. Okay. Give me something, chili!
Daniel O'Neill is a YouTuber from the UK with a channel called English Woodsman, where he's been uploading videos of his wild camping, stealth camping, and woodland camping trips in the UK for almost 10 years. Most of the channel's videos feature Daniel reviewing camping gear for his viewers and showing footage of his adventures in the great outdoors. For the most part, they're pretty tame, but in August 2023, he uploaded a video of his camping trip in the woodlands close to his home, and the footage is pretty disturbing. The first part of the video pretty much just shows Daniel walking through the woods and talking to his subscribers, eating berries, and pointing out the sights on the way to the campsite. At several points along the way, he pauses to mention the footprints and garbage he sees lying on the trail, indicating other people had been there in the last few days.
Oh wait, I'm talking.
Trail, indicating other people had been there in the last few days.
Okay.
Someone's been here. There's a lot of rubbish around here.
It's his land? Brother, are they on your prop? I tell you what, if a mother trucker was on my prop, spinning around rubbish, as he calls it.
Yeah, I could stare at this.
No, I'm just kidding.
I
ain't got no guns. I got a barrette in my hair.
After about a 20-minute walk, he sits down in a clearing where he plans to set up camp for the night and leans back on a tree to eat his noodles as he talks to the camera. It's not until around 25 minutes into the video that things start to get seriously disturbing for Daniel.
I'll be out Friday night, but I'm going away Saturday, so I've got a bit of a drive as well, so I didn't want to be tired, and it's going to throw it down Friday night as well.
Right.
And rain camping.
Who's throwing it down
really
Friday
good.
night? That literally sounds like it's behind the camera. Like straight up. He's like, huh? Huh? And it's just his bro behind the camera stomping in place. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It's you can hear it coming from like behind the camera. It sounds like someone's just stomping in place.
Is that a badger?
That badger? You're badgering me, bro. You're wasting my time.
Hello?
It ain't moving nowhere. He's looking everywhere but behind the camera because he doesn't want to look at his bro.
Footsteps could be heard right behind Daniel. As soon as he turns around to scan his environment, there's nobody in sight.
Yeah,
What's
he's
most
not going to turn all the
disturbing
way
is
around
that
and
as
show-
soon as he turned
yeah,
around
okay.
and yelled hello, the footsteps immediately stopped. For the next few minutes, he
Brother,
sits
I got
down
ears
and tries
too, I
to
can
regain his
hear.
composure as he sips his coffee and eats his
well,
noodles. But things only continue to get
Whatever.
even more creepy as the sun
Whatever.
begins to set.
Eat your ramen. You got something for your bro? Or is he just stepping? No, he's just stepping. He's just... How long I gotta do this, Daniel? I got these snowshoes on.
Now.
Yeah, it's been going on the last 30 seconds, Daniel. And you ain't looking. You ain't
Hello?
looking right behind past the camera. He's looking everywhere else.
Hello?
Alright, now he's turned around. Bros.
You got a bit of that.
Behind the camera. Don't move too much, Daniel.
There's nobody here.
Don't move too much now.
About 40 minutes into the video, the footstep noises can be heard again, and this time it sounds like they're getting closer to Daniel.
Yeah, they were pretty
By
close the
this
first
point,
time.
most people would have hightailed it out of there without any hesitation, but Daniel decides to sit
he
back
stayed,
down to
'cause
finish
that's
his
his
dinner
brother.
as he tries to calm
That's
his
his
nerves
bro.
for the second time. Amazingly, a few minutes later, it almost seems like he completely forgets about the footsteps,
I'm gonna
but
skip
as
forward. I got
darkness
it.
sets in,
Is it just more stepping?
I'm going to be honest. I
Quit
can't stay
stepping
here
on
now.
me, bro.
I'm going to be a wimp. I don't care if people call me a wimp. I'm
Leave.
too unsettled. I'm nervous. I've done camping like this load of times.
He's leaving because, first off, he wasn't planning on staying at all in the first place. Look at this setup he's got. He's on the grass. Ain't got no tarp. Just a sleeping bag. Bush. Suspicious. Sleeping bag. And nobody camps like this. I don't remember if this is his land or not, but either way, you're at least putting a tarp down, brother. And you weren't planning on staying anyways, and you're about to say you're gonna go home for the night, and you're just doing that because you were gonna sleep. You weren't gonna sleep in the woods, bro. This was his plan the whole time. This is his plan the whole time. That's why he just sat down a freaking
I'm going to go
sleeping
find
bag.
somewhere else to get this bivvy set up.
Okay.
But
Alright.
I'm leaving this spot.
Oh, he's leaving that spot. Are you leaving that spot?
understandably, after this third incident, Daniel decides to head
Chat, what's a
somewhere else
baby?
for the
Is
night
that
to
10?
play it safe.
Is he-
It's
is
hard
he
to know
staying?
what exactly was making those sounds, but because they sounded very similar to
Also,
human
if this
footsteps,
is his
it's
land,
possible
why is
that
he out
Daniel
there
was being
camping?
stalked by someone in the woods. This is obviously incredibly dangerous, as you can never really trust someone's intentions when you're in such a vulnerable position, all by yourself in unknown territory. It was either that or
I don't
an
know,
animal
man. I
walking
think he's
through
still
the
gonna leave.
grass. But because Daniel mentioned the grass was a little wet and wouldn't have made that dry sound if an animal stepped
Oh,
on
did he
it,
stay?
this
No,
is
that's
pretty
earlier.
unlikely.
Never mind.
Also, many people in the
Never
comments
mind.
mentioned that no animal walks that uniform and
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
They
literally
stop,
like his
go,
bro.
and change pace constantly. Either way,
Step
it's a
stepping,
good thing he decided
real
to
flat.
leave, because who knows what could have happened to Daniel that night.
Okay, I think he stayed out there. All right.
One of the most
whatever.
annoying things to me is spam videos.
hey,
Spammers are
hey.
safe from data a billion
I'm
times
not-
address or spam.
I'm sorry, Chili.
So have
I'm
a
sorry,
material
Chills.
to protect. Aura alerts me fast for information during and to
We
be
can't-
safe.
we can't ad
Aura.com
watch.
range of the Rocky Mountains
Alright.
in Colorado, made up of
me
almost
some real
entirely
footage,
public land within the Pike
And then
National
we
Forest.
can ad watch. I'll
In the
watch
summer, you'll
ads.
find lots of bikers enjoying the rampant ranges, elaborate trail system, and exploring the great outdoors. For the most part, this part of Colorado is a paradise for anyone who enjoys spending time in nature.
This is probably.
But over the past few years, there's been a pretty alarming trend on the rise, with random people setting up wires on trees at just about head height in an effort to seriously injure bikers on the
This video was made a year ago, but...
In 2019, a post describing this terrifying trend was uploaded to Facebook. And disturbingly,
so it's
the
all over
uploader
the place
mentioned
these
that one of his
days.
high school friends had lost his
so
life as a result of running into a similar wire on a trail.
Jeez.
Immediately, people jumped into the comments to point out how incredibly messed up it would be to do something like this.
That is literally one of the worst things you can do. Why would you try to injure someone, clothesline them, or kill them? Most likely it's going to kill them because you're going, like, really fast. And this is just to, like, keep the bikes off the trails. They're not going to come back because they're dead, I guess, but, like...
And how this kind of evil needs to be categorized as attempted murder if the suspects are ever caught.
25 miles per hour.
A couple of years before that post was made, in 2017,
also,
two motorbike
like
riders uploaded
children,
a video to YouTube
teenagers.
of their encounter with a similar wire, and although nothing happened to them, it was a very close call.
They're not doing nothing but making noise. Oh, that makes me kind of like duck too. Damn. Little piano riff. Little... Yeah, screw that. But like, you could also not be goofy.
When these wires are set up off trail,
it
can be hard to tell whether they were placed there out of malice or if a random camper or farmer placed the wires there to hang up clothes or something similar.
Speed through the trail.
But in cases like these where the wires are specifically placed on the trail, there's really only one reason people would do that, and that's to bring serious harm to bikers for some reason. Possibly they're annoyed with the constant loud sound of the bikes near their property or something else. But hopefully more measures can be taken in the future to prevent more people from getting hurt, especially because it's not uncommon to hear about motorbikers and snowmobilers losing their lives over this kind of stuff.
Like little tiny ones to pop their tires or something, or like
this audio was uploaded to YouTube by a user named ForestFire number 21.
I don't know, man. Damn.
He recorded it around 2 a.m. in December 2014. The uploader lives in a forest, and he mentioned that the noises in the audio were coming from deep in the woods behind his house.
Deep in the woods? Deep in the woods? I mean, you could alter video to put something like this in there, but it sounds...
It's hard to make out what the child is yelling, but after listening closely, several users jumped in the comments to point out that you can also hear an adult voice yelling, "Where are you?" In addition to the young female voice making most of the noise, this quieter, more subtle male voice that can also be heard in the audio only makes the whole incident that much more disturbing.
Because,
near the end of the video, the uploader mentions that
crime
after
going
that
on
night,
in them
he checked the news every day to see if he could find some explanation for the screams, but he never did.
News? I mean, yeah, you're checking the news. I mean, it could be people just out in the woods and like they got a kid with them and the kid barely gets lost like 3 feet away and he starts screaming, but whatever, dude. Camping after Christmas is kind of weird. It was probably a crime.
The fact that the screaming was captured at around 2 a.m. in the freezing
honest.
Cold weather and in the middle of the woods indicates that the uploader could have genuinely recorded something pretty sinister taking place that night. It's hard to tell why the uploader would record and upload the audio instead of immediately calling the police after hearing a female voice in such obvious distress, but at this point there's not much that can be done about it. And who knows, maybe the uploader did call the police.
Yeah, that's
what
I'm
saying.
That's
what
I'm saying, Chili.
We can only hope that whatever problem happened that night was eventually solved.
Yeah, I'm just gonna record it and put it online to get some likes, but like, I didn't call the cops or nothing.
Know for sure.
Okay, bro, like...
Lisa is a life coach and YouTuber who often uploads videos of what it's like living in her van and traveling the country on her own. One afternoon in 2022, Lisa had parked her van on the side of the road and left the side door of her van open while she cooked her dinner inside. When suddenly a sketchy-looking guy approached her, poked his head in her van without her permission, and started asking her some pretty bizarre questions in French.
If he's poking his head in your van, that's pretty much that is your house if you're doing this. And he's just poking his head inside, like, what you got cooking? Like, bro, none ya. Huh? None ya. Slam. Broken. Break his neck, and he's like, goes, you drive away. You unhook them brakes, and you drive away.
A language Lisa doesn't speak.
Especially
when she mentioned she didn't understand what he was saying, he pulled out a translator
he just needs directions
to try to communicate with her,
him.
which obviously made her pretty uncomfortable, especially since she wasn't interested in talking to him in the first place after he invaded her personal space.
He's blocking her?
After watching the guy struggle to use Google Translate for a few minutes, Lisa decided she'd had enough and shut the side door in his face.
Also, I don't know. Maybe he's just lost. Or that's just a ploy.
Closing the curtain to make sure the guy got the hint.
Yeah, but
strangely,
I feel like
for over half an hour,
still.
The guy then stood outside in the rain and tinkered with the translator app to try to communicate with Lisa,
yeah,
even
why is he
after she
in the
made
rain?
it more than obvious that she wanted nothing to do with him.
I mean, I guess it depends, but Americans don't like stand in the rain. I don't know what language she said he spoke, and I can't read that sign. Is he going in the woods? What's he doing? What's he doing?
He just moved even
Did
closer
he just
so that I can't move out, so that I
go
can't
in the
go
woods and
forward.
hide? What's this man do? Oh. I mean, that's a tiny car. You got a
leave.
van.
Sketchy person. Please leave.
I don't know, man. I think you win that car fight. Even if he's blocking you, you can get out.
With a very shady demeanor, the man snuck into the bushes and pretty much just stalked Lisa from a distance.
Why is he sitting in the bushes in the rain? What the?
As the sun began to set, Lisa kept an eye on the guy outside to make sure he didn't try to get close to her again.
I mean, I guess she's like blocked in, but not that blocked in, dude. You could probably do a little 15-point turn and get on out of there. Maybe slinging a little bit mud because you're going like off-road.
But the man just kept on bringing his car closer to her van and blocking her exit in different ways for more than half an hour.
Yeah, so if this is the road, I would assume it goes either right or left or both. Girl, go around. That way's not very good with pole, but go around, man. Especially when he was over here.
Really starting to freak
Is that a fence? That's what I thought. This ain't the exit then.
Like a half an hour, and it just keeps on moving his vehicles.
Where the exit at? Is it on the right side?
Here. Anyways.
Hey, look! Crap!
It's 7 o'clock. 7 p.m.
You gonna stay there?
Fortunately, just
Chat.
as darkness had begun to set in, a
Chat,
family
would
in an
you
RV pulled up right
chat,
behind Lisa and spent
would
the
you
night in
stay
the same
here?
parking lot as her, which comforted her enough to stay there the entire evening.
Dude, I don't care if Batman pulls up and puts 2 burgers on the grill and says, hey, I'll take care of you, watch this guy. I'm leaving. What? A family showed up and now you feel safe? Like, why didn't you leave before dark?
Disturbingly, the guy left soon after the other family arrived, but
Yeah.
came back about 3 hours later in the dead of night to check if Lisa was still there.
Oh my
When he saw
god,
the other family-
he came back. I'm killing you in Minecraft. I'm killing you in Minecraft, dude. You're so dead in Minecraft. I don't even want to deal with it. You've threatened me enough to
In the
this
RV
point
was also still in the parking lot.
to
He
come
left
back and
and
check
didn't come
3
back.
a.m.
The next morning, Lisa left early and never saw the guy
I mean, it's
again.
also freaking stupid on her. Like, I don't know if she was out of gas. Probably not. But, like, why aren't you leaving, dude? If the family can come in and park behind you or whatever, it looked like it was behind her. Could you not have backed out the whole time, dude? Yeah. You know how to
It's
deal
hard
with
to tell
creepers?
what the guy's exact intentions were, but based on his overall sketchy demeanor and questionable behavior, they couldn't have been anything good. The one thing we
no
can
crap,
be sure about
dude.
is that it's a good thing the other family in the RV arrived at the parking lot when
Yeah,
they did.
that's good too.
Otherwise, who knows
Because your
what the
stupid
man
ass
would
would
have
have
done
been
to Lisa.
dead.
In May
Lisa.
2014, an
Chat,
Imager
don't be
user
like
uploaded
Lisa.
a blog post where he talked about the time he went to visit a friend in northern Germany.
Don't be Lisa.
According to the uploader, his friend told him about these pipes that he had found in the woods near his house that stuck up out of the ground like
I feel like that's
periscopes.
going to encourage bikers to carry
Apparently,
machetes.
his
We're
friend
just
and his siblings
that
played
much
near the
closer to
pipes
Mad
as
Max.
kids
Honestly,
and knew that there were bunkers hidden below them, but
I,
the
for
parents never
one, think
allowed them
we
to
should
get
have
near
a
them
Mad
out of
Max
concern for their
society.
safety.
I
During
would
the
like to see
visit,
it.
narrated in the blog post, the
I'd like
uploader
to
and
see
his
it.
friend decided to check out the pipes and finally go down into the
Everybody
bunkers
have
that
to
they
take it?
never had permission to explore when they were
Doing
younger,
drugs?
and they
Driving
found some
vehicles,
pretty
killing
disturbing
people?
stuff.
In Minecraft?
A few hundred feet away
Think
from
it'd
the
be fun.
trees, they found the entrance to the bunker covered with a loosely placed
Bunker?
piece of wood
I hardly
that
know
they easily
her.
removed with a crowbar. Once inside, all they could see were these long, seemingly endless, hospital-like hallways that extended for thousands of feet under the woods. As they ventured further and further into the maze of tunnels, they found graffiti on some of the walls, indicating they weren't the first people to get the idea to explore the underground bunkers.
You know, crap,
To the
dude. They're
explorer's
kind of cool
horror,
looking.
one of the
You can
walls
see a
deep
little,
inside
it's
the
like a
tunnels
half
had the word
pyramid
"help"
with a
in
door on
German
it.
graffitied all over
Up
it.
there in the woods.
It's possible that it was just sprayed on
Is
there by
this?
another group of teens trying to be funny,
That Russian?
but the eerie nature of the bunker, coupled with the
HKTV?
general state of disarray, really makes you wonder if something
Damn.
more sinister
Those are
took
just
place
letters,
down
aren't
there at
they?
some point, possibly even written by German soldiers in the later parts
German.
of World War II. As they
I
traveled deeper
wasn't
into the
listening.
bunker, they found some more disturbing
sorry,
graffiti, with one of the eeriest messages reading, "Hello,
Hello,
Satan, I love
Satan.
you." Obviously,
It
that's not
doesn't. That's not an E, bro. That's an A. Satan. Yeah. Yeah. Yuck. That for sure says dick. Hello, Satan. Get dick.
not the kind of message you want to see in a tunnel system like this,
Thank
but
you,
the two friends
thank you,
decided
thank
to
you,
keep on exploring anyway. After several hours down in
Hello,
the bunker,
I
they
am
ended up
German.
finding tons of more twisting,
Hello,
winding
Satan.
hallways, flooded rooms with old machines,
I don't think that's a
and
German
dark,
accent.
narrow
I think that
corridors
was,
that
like,
reached dead ends, but nothing more
Swedish.
disturbing than the graffiti they had found a few hours earlier.
Abby.
The
Ew,
explorers
poopy
managed
water.
to make it out of there safely, and
You're going in the poo poo pee pee. You're going in the poo poo pee pee. Why does this look like
graffiti they had
Repo?
found a few hours earlier.
This looks like
The
Repo,
explorers
guys.
managed to make
This
it
looks
out
like
of there
that one
safely
game.
and didn't go
That
back
one
there
game,
again.
Repo.
In the summer of 2016, reports started surfacing that people were finding dangerous booby traps
Damn,
along
yeah.
a very well-known hiking trail in the High Mountain Park Preserve
Okay,
in Wayne,
you
New
know
Jersey.
what?
As
There's
per the
probably
police
bikes.
reports, the traps mostly consisted of boards with nails sticking out of them.
Hey, man.
barbed
I suggested this earlier, but I was just kidding.
wire, broken bottles
Anyways.
placed along the trails behind or near rocks or logs, and other treacherous
Doesn't mean
materials.
do it.
As more and more complaints started coming in, police warned people to keep an eye out for the
I mean-
traps and even organized cleanup efforts to keep hikers safe
If it's
during their
just a
treks.
bike-only trail,
What's
like one
most
of them
disturbing
thin ones,
is that these traps were
that's
clearly
for
placed there to hurt people,
motorbikes
as there's
and
really no other
stuff,
reason to put nails and barbed wire on the ground
that
in the
I
middle
feel
of
like it's
such a
fine as
popular
long as
hiking
people aren't
trail.
walking.
The fact
But
that someone
hiking
would take the
trails,
time to
way
get out on the
different.
trail, build a booby trap in such
Don't put
detail, and place
spikies
it there with the
on the
intention to do
hiking
harm to
trail.
other people and their pets is honestly pretty messed up. But it
Was
didn't
it by
take the
the
cops too long to
bikers?
make an educated guess as to who was behind the whole thing.
Wait, they're not talking about tires or nothing. He said it was the cyclists doing it to keep hikers from hiking on the hiking trail. You're trying to keep hikers from hiking on the hiking trail? Trying to keep the hikers from hiking on the hiking trail when they're hiking and they're trying to hike with their dog on the hiking trail when they're hiking on the hiking trail? Are you out of your mind?
Although they never found the individual
You're
suspects
hiking.
responsible for placing the traps on the trail, the sheriff's department determined that the traps had probably something to do with the feud between
Not
hikers and
biking!
bikers who've been fighting over use of the trail for decades.
Why are
According to many
cyclists
nearby
such
residents, it's common for
asswives?
bikers on the
Sorry
trail
if
to
you have a
speed
bike,
past the
doesn't mean
hikers
you're a
without ringing
cyclist,
their
but,
bells
like,
or announcing their presence, which has led to several injuries
if you're a
and
cyclist,
rising tensions
I'm
between the
gonna
two
ban
groups
you.
over the years.
I ain't got no
Still,
mods yet,
it's
but I'm
hard to
gonna ban
imagine
you
that
with
someone would take the issue
my
to the
own
point of trying
hand.
to harm an entire
My
group of
single
people so
finger
maliciously
going
with
to go
such brutal methods.
Banned
Fortunately,
because
no
you
one
wear
was hurt
biker
as a
shorts
result
and
of
you
the
wear the
traps.
stupid
The
glasses and a
suspects
helmet and like
responsible
you
were
go
never found.
like forearm down and you like are going the wrong way in traffic, and then you also are also a cyclist, and I can see your derogatory talking about the bridge. Anyways, speaking of that, forest videos. Okay, that one kind of sucked. Let's be honest, chat. That one kind of sucked. I don't really want to watch no more Chilling Skaters. Oh wait, actually, no. I feel like he used to do real stuff. Because I don't know, like I haven't watched a lot of videos. That was literally like my second video of his I've watched. So, yeah, and it felt pretty fake. All of that felt pretty fake. Yeah, not gonna lie. Is that the same dude? Oh, I think that's the video I just watched. Alright, chat. Scary stuff. No more chilies. Talk? Horror talk? Got 1.8 million views. Let's watch this one. Let's watch this one, chat. How you feeling? Top one if you're feeling.
In 2023, a
Oh,
YouTuber
yep.
who goes
Just
by
top
the
one.
name
Top
Under
one
the
if you're
Weather
feeling.
decides to go
Let me see it.
camping in a remote area
Mr.
in
Ballin.
Scotland. However, this solo
Compilations, yeah. I'm only doing these because they're like 15 minutes. I feel like, ooh, these are longer. Let's do Ballin, like Ballin, Shot Collin, Mr. Ballin. Bigfoot! Damn, he's got a lot of stuff. Ballin, Shot Collin.
Today,
10
we're gonna
million
cover
subscribers. Heck yeah. What do we want, chat? Oh, that looks like a forest. That looks like a forest. Does he got a weird cadence?
3 strange but true stories. Fair warning, the top story today
Over
is
emotes,
absolutely
that's kinda
repulsive.
annoying.
So if that's not your thing, you've been warned.
His voice is alright. Skip one! Oh, don't say it! 5 years. Oh. Oh crap, these are popular, duh. Bingeable stories before bed. Honestly, if we're doing that, no. I was gonna say, if we're doing that, we ought to watch or listen to Creepcast, but that's like a podcast. And then also, there's YouTube videos, but it's like, I'm just gonna react to someone else's content. These are just stories. Creepcast is like Reddit. Scary stories that people create. Now, do we want recent stuff? I don't know if I think recent stuff's gonna be more. Gonna be worse. I feel like. I don't know. Forced! Yeah! Oh man, it's an hour long. Whew. Yeah, he's got some. Ooh, volume 2, volume 1. Yeah. Yeah, this is a good one. Yeah. Damn. You could do this the whole time. It's 2 hours.
Today we have a really cool
Cox
video for you
Internet.
guys. It'll be a collection of 4 stories that
Down,
are all
girl.
fan favorites, and they all share a theme: camping horror stories.
Hey.
These stories have all been
Alright.
totally re-edited, so even if you've seen them before, it's
Cox
gonna feel
Internet.
new and improved. That was the whole point of doing this. We wanted this to feel like a brand new viewing experience.
I don't get it.
It's of interest to
Sorry.
you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just got
that-
ADHD.
So you don't.
You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Ballin', we are balling. We are balling with Mr. Balling. We are shot calling. Well?
In April of 2020,
Mark?
a 17-year-old named Sam, who was an
I don't
avid
like that he's
outdoorsman,
looking at me. I
decided to
feel like
go
I gotta
on a
look
one-night
away.
hike in the Superstition Mountains in Arizona.
The mountain's name has a bunch of supposed origins, but the one that's generally accepted
Bro, let's
is
go
people
camping
are
in the
afraid of
Superstition Mountains.
Mountains because of all the mysterious deaths that have occurred there. And so because
You know about
people
the
would
lore?
avoid these mountains in fear of mysterious death, it became these superstitious mountains. But Sam was not superstitious and regularly came out here to go hiking,
bro.
in particular on this 8-mile loop.
bro.
that
We're gonna
went
go
through
camping in the
and so this
Superstitious
one-night overnight
Mountains.
he planned on doing was going to be on that 8-mile loop where he'd do 4 miles in, camp out, and then 4 miles back. And he planned to do it with a friend, but his friend at the last
Bro's got
minute
my
canceled,
jawline, not
and
gonna
so
lie.
Sam teetered on not
Being
even
twin.
doing it, but ultimately decided, okay, I'll just do it by myself because I'm very familiar with this area. On the day he was supposed to go do this hike,
Anyways,
he
I'm
had
listening,
planned
I'm
on
listening.
getting there early in the day to have
Putting the subtitles
maximum
on.
lighting. But due to some unforeseen circumstances and traffic and bad road conditions, he didn't get to the trailhead until 5:45 p.m. that night. Sam knew it was a bad idea to start this hike so late because he was going to run out of daylight. He probably was not going to make it 4 miles to the point where
You don't
want to
be hiking in the nighttime.
But he figured with his good health
That's
and
when all the
fitness, he could
boogeymen
probably
come
quickly make
out.
his way to the 2 or even 3-mile mark, and there were some suitable campsites there. And so he decided he would
Like
kind of
Slender
risk
Man.
it
It's not
and just
past
try to
you,
go
no,
as
dude.
fast as he could
Gonna have to check
and
yes.
use the daylight he had
if you
to
check
reach
no.
a suitable campsite. But he wasn't able to move as fast as he thought he
did.
could, and soon the sun was down and it's totally dark, and he's got his flashlight. but
And
it
you're also
only
in
is able to shine,
Superstition
like, 10
Mountains,
feet in front
so
of
like
him.
you get a little
And then at one point
superstitious.
he nearly falls off of this rock,
So-
and he knows had he fallen, he would have gotten really badly hurt. And he's 15
Right.
miles away from the nearest
That's
town.
what happens
And
when
he's
you
in a
fall,
bad
right,
cell
right.
phone service area, and the roads getting out here are treacherous. No
Treacherous,
one
yeah.
knows exactly where he is.
Exactly
and it
where,
dawns
yeah.
on him that you've made a pretty bad
Dawn,
choice,
yeah.
and you should stop right now and make camp here and not try to risk it any further. And
Yeah.
so as it happened, where he was, there was this forest right nearby.
There's
and
a
you could
forest
see there was
nearby,
a
yeah.
clearing about 30 feet off
Clearing,
the path
yeah,
when
30
he shined
feet,
his
yeah.
light. And so he walked
He what?
into that
We're moving past it.
clearing, and he found it was a great spot to make
Don't do
camp.
that
And
again.
in fact, on the edge of this clearing was the remnants of a fire pit. It was very old, but it at least showed someone had camped out right here,
Fire pit.
and they seemed to have made it just fine. So suddenly he was feeling pretty smart, and he felt pretty good about where he was staying for the night. Now, Sam intentionally did not bring a tent. He liked to sleep on a sleeping pad with a sleeping bag over that, and then he would string up a tarp over the top of him in case it rained. And since this clearing was
odd.
surrounded by a bunch of
The
pine
water's
trees,
still gonna get
he was able to
get
string
on
up
you.
his tarp over the top, and it was perfect.
Am
And
I
pretty soon
wrong?
he had a fire going.
You're still
and he
gonna get
cracked
wet,
open
right?
a can of beans, and he began eating his dinner. And
beans
as he
over
was
the
eating,
fire.
he
That's how you
started
know
to
this
get a
story's-
sense that something was off. Something was not right. He
That's
began
some cowboy
scanning the
stuff.
tree line as if he was going to find something out of the ordinary, but his visibility
Bro,
was incredibly
chewing
limited
on
because he was
beans in
sitting
the
right up
Arizona
against
Canyon,
fire.
that's just
And if you've ever sat next to a fire
Django.
in a dark forest, your visibility is like 5 feet in a circle around the fire. You really cannot see beyond that. And his vision was also limited by all the pine trees that encircled his clearing. So he really could only see what was immediately around him, nothing else. And he starts thinking, that's gotta be it. Maybe I'm just nervous because I have no visibility. But as he's rationalizing
Where's
this kind
Biscuits-
of
Biscuits
bad
song.
gut feeling, a
Jet.
rock
No,
the size
I was
of
gonna
a
say,
marble
should we
comes
watch
soaring
Django?
into
But you
the
can't watch
campsite and
movies.
lands at his feet.
Can you watch movies on Twitch? No. Yeah, no. Damn, didn't Amazon used to be able? That would have been so cool. Why'd they take that away, dude? They're like, let's change it. We ain't making money off this. We can make so much money off this. It's such a cool feature. Watching movies on live stream. You can watch YouTube videos. You can watch YouTube episodes. Speaking of that, I don't know if this is your guys' niche, but Drewski. I like me some Drewski videos. I like me his long form content. His short stuff's kind of hit or miss. It's alright. But his like fully fleshed out produced shows are awesome. I've been watching I watched the first episode of his season 2 of the Could Have Been House, and I feel like we should watch it together. We're gonna watch the next episode together, I think. Actually, this might be my last stream. I don't know. Might be. I might stream next weekend, but this might be my last stream before I move. Because I'm moving on the 1st. But I don't know how that's all gonna work out. So maybe we'll watch the second episode next week, because I think they come out every week. We can watch it together. Maybe watch the first one too. Also, after these videos today, we're gonna watch or play a game. We're gonna play a game. And it's gonna be a surprise. Just saying. Jeez. Get off
he looks
my
down at the rock and immediately
balls,
he connects
chat.
it to that sense of dread he had. And he's looking around a little more aggressively now, but again, his vision is very, very limited. And
Did
so
you
for the next
take the
15 minutes,
ayahuasca?
Sam is really aggressively
Stop doing
scanning
that.
the tree line.
I'm not gonna.
Listening really
Why did I do
intently.
it?
He doesn't hear anything. He doesn't see any more rocks get thrown. And so he begins to rationalize and convince himself that there's nothing wrong here. That feeling I
Okay, rocks are being thrown? I'm just gonna.
have, oh, don't worry about that. He starts telling himself, you know, I must have kicked a rock. That's what it is. Or maybe a rock fell off a tree. But either way, it's something totally explainable.
rock
and
fell
he had
off a
nothing to
tree.
worry about. And after
Yeah.
a while, he convinced
Explainable.
himself and he got into
Those
his
are
sleeping bag
cacti.
under his tarp.
You said you're
and
in
he went to
Arizona.
sleep. A couple of hours later, Sam
Tree ain't
wakes
that tall,
up
ain't
and
it?
he has that same sense
It
of
might
dread,
be.
and now it's back with a vengeance.
I ain't never been to
He can't
Arizona.
hear anything, he can't see anything, but he's definitely feeling like something is wrong. And at that moment, as he's listening really intently and looking really carefully, he
Yes,
hears the
listening
sound
intently.
of rustling leaves. It sounds like someone walking through leaves about 30 or 40 meters away from his campsite.
Walking through
And
leaves
initially,
in the
he
desert?
can't tell if this person or animal is walking towards his campsite or away, but over the next 30 seconds or so, the sounds start to fade, and he convinces himself that, okay, they've left and everything's fine. But just in case, he wanted to grab his flashlight and shine it in that direction.
Well, these are just
and so
stories.
he reaches next to him where he had left it when he had gone to bed a couple hours earlier, and he can't
I don't
find
like
his
that he's
flashlight.
making eye
He's looking
contact
around
with
for
us.
it, and he can't find it, and he's like, man, that's weird. I had it right here, right next to my body, and it's not here anymore. And that's when the alarm bells start going off in his head, because the only way this flashlight moves is if he moved it. And if it's not here, how did it move? And so he jumps out of his sleeping bag, he ducks out from under the tarp, and he's looking around on the ground in the immediate vicinity of where he was sleeping
Right.
to find this flashlight. And as he's looking, out of the corner of his eye, he sees some light.
Right.
And he turns his head, and in the same direction that he had heard those footsteps, those rustling leaves, when he was still
I
laying
just do
down,
this.
he sees his flashlight laying on the ground about 10 meters away.
Okay.
Which means someone or something had been less than a foot away from him to
Damn.
get this flashlight.
I
that
see
was
him on
right
this
next to
monitor.
him while he
I
was
can't do
fast
that.
asleep and totally
He surrounds me!
and
He's
had
all around
moved
me!
it all the way over there. And immediately, Sam thinks to himself, that's a trap. They are trying to lure me away from my campsite. Suddenly, he felt so
Is
scared
it
he wanted
big
to vomit,
feet?
but he knew
Multiple?
in order to survive this situation, he needed to keep his wits about him. So he puts his boots on and he grabs his knife, and he knows he's not leaving this campsite. In fact,
Chat, you're
he's gonna
not
build
knifing
the
the
biggest
Bigfoot.
fire he can. He's gonna stoke
I
that
don't care
fire
who
as
you
big as he
are. I
can
don't
get
care
it,
if you're
and he's
God
not gonna go
himself.
anywhere
You're not
near that
knifing the
flashlight.
Bigfoot.
For the next several
You're gonna get to where you thought the Bigfoot was, and he's gonna pop up behind you, tap your shoulder. You're gonna smell skunk like 2 minutes before this from where he was. And you're gonna turn around and look up until your freaking neck is aching. And you're already dead. He's got you by the throat, and he already broke all your bones, just picking you up.
hours,
I don't think
Sam
people
just stood in the middle of his campsite
estimate
holding his knife, preparing
how
to
tall they are.
confront whatever the heck is out in the woods.
Yeah,
And
kitchen knife.
over those several hours, he would hear footsteps approach his campsite, turn around, and leave. Every time the fire got lower, he noticed they would come closer and closer and closer.
Maybe.
And when he would stoke the
If
fire,
it's
they
stalking
wouldn't
him, it's
come
probably
as close.
coyotes, 'cause why the
But
heck
at
would
about
a
3 a.m., he ran
Bigfoot
out of firewood. So
give a
unless
crap?
he went into the woods to get more, he'd
I don't
be
think
out. And
Bigfoot
he's certainly
cares
not
if
going
you're
into the woods. That's the whole point. Is
camping
to
in
avoid
the
woods where
friggin'
this thing
desert.
is. And so as the fire died down, Sam prepared himself mentally for whatever
Stays in the
happened
woods.
next, because he knew that with that fire gone, this thing was
Woods.
comfortable coming all the way
Arizona?
in, coming all the way up right next to him to get the flashlight. And so finally, he hears the footsteps approaching. And before this, the closest they had come
I feel like it's
was maybe
coyotes.
about 15 meters away. They were far enough away it didn't feel intimate. It was terrifying, but he had some distance. This time, they walk right up to about 3 meters away, but they intentionally come behind the thickest group of trees, so he
Behind.
can't see them. And it's still dark outside, and he's in that bubble of light near the fire, so he's blind to whatever's on the other side of those trees. But he knows they're there, and they've stopped. And for 2 hours, this poor kid
almost
is standing in the middle of this campsite,
Cinematic?
facing in the direction of whatever is behind
Can't stop
the
doing
trees.
that emote.
Probably his imagination
For
is going
everything.
crazy at this point with what
Not
could
just
be
cinema.
behind those trees, just waiting for whatever happened next. But ultimately, the only thing that would happen is the sun would eventually come up, and right before it actually popped over the horizon, this thing on the other side finally moved, it turned around, and ran away, and it did not come back.
Oh my god, dude. Did you
When the
just
sun
waste my
finally
time?
Did come up, Sam didn't just charge out of there because he's still thinking there could be a trap. He waited until it was totally full sunlight, and then he packed up everything he had, and he practically sprinted back to the parking lot.
Did you
back
just
into
waste
his
my
car,
time
and he
telling me
drove
about
nonstop
dang
for 20
coyotes?
miles until he got to a gas station where he could park and collect himself. And when he got there, he got out of his car and he went in and he got a drink. And when he came out, he
Come
noticed someone
on,
had
top
written something
five,
on the
number
dust
one.
on the back window of his car. And he walks over and it just
Oh!
says, "Sleep well?" ? Sam is confident whoever was stalking him at his
Alright, so
campsite
that was just
is
a
the same
dude.
person or
That, if this is true, I mean, he could always be lying, but that could have just been a dude wanting to rob him, and he was pissed off that dude wasn't allowing it, and he had a knife, and he was mad, and he probably just wrote "sleep well." Like, if I
group of
can't steal
people
from
that
you, I'm
wrote
gonna
this message on his
disrupt
car.
your
And
slumber,
now
brother.
Sam just wonders, what would have happened if I retrieved that
Okay.
flashlight?
Because there are no, like, animal noises, so. Shit.
In 1982,
You should
a
carry
very
your blicky.
outdoorsy teenage girl and boy
Why you
who
ain't got a
recently
blicky?
started dating decided to go
Well, when
camping
it gets
in Maine.
sticky.
Around 1 a.m. on the first night they were
Fuck
there, the
yummy.
girl wakes up because she has to go to the bathroom, and she's about to unzip her tent
Boing.
when she stops because she hears some strange noises coming from
Chat, do you ever
outside
do
her
this?
tent. It wasn't that
You ever
loud,
just
but it sounded distinctly like something was
unhinge
digging
your-
in the ground.
your wrist
but
and
she really had to
just
go,
let it hang?
and she figured, you know what, it's probably just some small
I think it
animal
feels
or
real
something.
good.
And so she begins to unzip the tent. And there's a little bit of moonlight that night, and there was a clearing outside of their tent. So the moonlight's
Moonlight,
full, so she has
moonlight,
plenty of illumination. And so she looks through
Wait,
this
Jimmy, get
tiny
your
hole,
moonlight
and
up.
she can't believe what she sees. It is a
Shawty look
grown
good in the
woman squatting
moonlight.
down about 2 or 3 feet away from their tent. Her back is to them, so she can't see that she's looking through the tent. And she's feverishly digging into the ground in front of her. The girl
Damn,
literally
girl.
falls backwards
Dig, girl.
into her tent. She's so startled by what she sees. And she lands on her boyfriend, who immediately gets up, and he's like, "What's going on?" And she goes,
She's
and she
digging.
points at the little
Oh,
hole where
hole.
she unzipped the tent, and she goes, "Look." The boy is confused,
scared of
but he can tell
holes.
his girlfriend is very serious, so he sits up quietly and he looks through the little opening in the door, and he sees the digging woman. The boy recoils and looks at his girlfriend, and he's like, "What is going on out there?" He takes a flashlight, and she's
Being a
telling
doggy.
him, "Don't do it." And he opens up the tent on the floor and he aims his flashlight directly
Bro,
at
stop
this
doing
woman, and this gets her
this. Am I the only one? Bro, why are you jacking everybody off? Bro, why are you jacking
She
everybody off?
stops digging,
Dude, stop
and she
jacking
stands
everybody
up
off. Stop
slowly,
gonna
and
stop
she
right now,
turns
dude.
around and
Chill.
faces them,
Can you
and
chill?
she's got no expression. She's not
Huh.
giving them any
She's got a
indication why
six
she's
head,
there.
though.
She's not acting aggressive. She's
She
not acting
talks, she's got a
scared.
six
She's just
head.
completely neutral. And she stands there staring at them for quite a while before turning around and just walking
shouldn't
away
make
from their
them look,
campsite. And
especially
after a
if
little
she's
while,
already
when they were
dead.
pretty certain she was gone, they opened
got
the tent
away
all
worse
the
than
way,
me,
they go
dog. I'm
outside, they
still
kinda scan
here.
around with their flashlights, and she's nowhere to be found. And they go to where she was digging, and it's just this weird 4-inch
the
deep
hole.
hole in the ground. There's no rhyme
The
or
hole where
reason
she
to
was
why
digging,
she was doing that.
because she
And
was
so
digging
after
a
sitting
hole.
there wondering what they should do, they settled on, well, tomorrow we'll tell the park rangers that she was here, and maybe they'll do something.
was
about
planting
it.
a
And so
tree. What's
feeling
so
pretty
scary
confident
about
that
that,
this
man?
woman's not going to come
Just
back,
let a girl
they both go
dig.
back into the tent,
Why do
they zip
people
it
wanna
shut,
stop
get in their
women from
sleeping
digging
bags,
holes?
and they're about to go to sleep.
Why can't
when they
women
hear
dig
someone
holes?
running towards their campsite, and they know
Why
it's
can't
this
women dig
woman.
holes?
They immediately
I think that's a
unzip the
perfectly
tent, and they
normal
look
thing.
out, And now the woman's
Just let her
not
dig.
digging anymore. She's rummaging through some of their stuff.
Let
that's outside
let
of
women
the
rummage.
tent. And the
Let
way
women
she's
steal.
doing it, they describe
Let
as
women steal.
monkey-like. She'd pick
I think
something
women
up,
should
look
be
at it,
allowed to
throw it
steal.
over her
Take
head.
one.
She'd pick
Take
the
from
next thing
whoever,
up,
whenever.
Throw it over her
I
head.
think women
Back
should
and
steal.
forth, just throwing things.
everybody
behind
should
her.
use
And so
Lego
the boy
hands.
gets out and he shines a light on her.
Stop!
And goes, you need
Except
to
for
leave.
him.
And
He
she
does
doesn't
it, but he does
react.
closed
She
fist.
just keeps flipping through all their
And
stuff.
so then
until
it gets
he pretty
sexual.
forceful and says, "You need to leave right
You can
now."
always
At
pass
that
this
point,
off
she
as a
kinda
Lego
stops and
hand.
Looks at him like,
It's no longer
what are you doing
chode.
here? And then
It's
she
no
gets
longer
up, turns around, and
whatever
walks
the
away.
C
Now the couple really doesn't know what to do because
word
she's
is.
clearly willing to come back after being confronted.
Well, once you close that
But they
fist,
stayed outside their tent for about 15 more minutes, shining their
over.
light and making lots of noise and treating her like she's an animal, and they're just trying to scare her away from the
I mean, she kind
campsite.
of seems like an
And after a
animal.
little bit of time, they thought, okay, there's
Is
no
she
way
like
she
a-
comes back now because
like
we were
a-
pretty aggressive with her
what are
this
those
time,
called,
and she
chat?
seemed to
When
really
you
get
turn-
it. They both do go back to the
transform
tent,
from an
and
animal
as
to a
soon as they
person.
zip it shut, they hear her come running straight back to the site, like she was
Hmm.
literally waiting in the
Bro,
wings
maybe
for when
she's
they went
looking for
back in the
something,
tent.
dude. Maybe
And
she
this time she
smells the
runs back to
truffles.
hole in the ground, and
Like,
she's just
let her
feverishly
truffle,
digging into the ground
you
as
know?
fast as she can. And this time they come out of their tent and they're mad and they're
Expensive.
screaming at this woman.
Maybe
to
she's
get
just
the F out of here. What
a
are you
woman who loves
doing?"
to cook.
And this seems to kind of frighten the woman, who gets up and she looks at them like, "Why are you yelling at me?" And she runs away, and it looked almost animalistic the way she was running away, like she was feral. The boy and the girl are totally shaken up.
Just
at this
let her
point. It's about 1:30 in the
fucking
morning, and this woman just
dig for
keeps coming back
truffles.
to their site, and they don't know what to do about it. So they turn on some lanterns and they turn on their flashlights, and they decide, we're just going to stay outside until the morning. That way we know she doesn't come back and doesn't steal anything from us. But by about 3:30,
I don't think she's
gonna
gonna steal anything from you guys. I feel like she's
they're
just-
super tired.
she's
the
digging.
woman's
She's
nowhere to
rummaging.
be found.
Let her
And
rummage.
so they finally say, "You want to go back in and get some sleep?" I think this time she's really gone. They get back in their sleeping bags and they
that's
go
what
to
you
sleep.
think.
They don't hear her again. The next morning when they get up and they unzip their tent, they look
She was
outside,
just quiet.
and all of their stuff has been thrown
Yeah.
all over the campsite.
She was just quiet,
And the hole in
Jay.
the ground that the woman had dug that was previously about 4 or 6 inches deep is now well over a foot deep. And they realize this woman
Damn,
must have
what's
been
she
lurking in
doing?
the shadows in the woods, watching them from 1:30 to 3:30 in the morning. That whole time they were out there kind of warding her off.
I mean, that's not
She
that
was
bad.
just waiting, just watching
2
them
hours.
the whole time in the shadows. And as soon as they went into their tent, she must have given it a little bit of time, but then she ran right back over and she ransacked their site. But the
Yeah.
strangest thing was, after
I
they
mean,
looked
you're the
through
one
all of the
camping in
stuff
her
she
digging
chucked
site. I don't know
around,
what y'all surprised
nothing was
of.
missing, and there was some pretty expensive stuff that was laying out that she could have taken but didn't. After they
I don't
picked
think
up their
she's worried
site,
about
they
money,
went to
dude.
the park ranger and they told them
Ain't
about
digging up
what
treasure.
had happened. But the ranger has no idea what to make of it. He's never heard of such a thing. And so the couple just leaves that day because they're not about to spend another night here. And to this day, they have no idea why
Ranger
this
was
woman
like,
was running onto their site. And
Yeah, I'm not
digging
dealing with
into the
that.
ground and
It's
rummaging
just
through
like
their
some
stuff.
orphaned woman
she was
who
just
lives
a
in the
wild
woods
animal.
and like somehow taught herself how to live in the woods, and she probably was digging for truffles. And then she stole their food. So like, damn.
In the early 2000s, a teenager named
Left
Evan and his father would regularly go hunting in the Georgia backcountry. When Evan turned 14, his father befriended a very wealthy landowner in Georgia who offered them access to one of his best private hunting areas. And just a couple of days later, on October 5th, Evan and his father would take him up on the offer. They woke up super early and they drove out to the edge of this
gonna
property
see
that was actually
Skinwalker,
fenced in.
dude.
And they went to a main gate where they had the combo that this guy had given them. They punched in the combo, opened up the gate, drove in, shut the gate, locked it, and then continued down the access road. They followed
like
this
you didn't
road
need
for
to say
about
all
2
that.
miles where it came to a stop right outside of this huge forest. They
Me
parked
to
their
myself.
truck, they got out, they put on their gear, and in the pre-morning darkness began hiking into the woods. Even though they were there primarily to hunt, Eben and his father secretly enjoyed just hiking around the woods and camping out,
Yeah.
and any chance they got to extend their hunting
Hiking in the
trips, they
woods, I don't
would,
know. Chat, type 1 if you've ever been hiking. But hiking in the woods is pretty fun. I don't really like, I like hiking in mountains, you know, in like Colorado, but it's hard. There's inclines and it's pretty large inclines most of the time, but hiking in the woods is usually like pretty straight trails and you get little creeks and rivers. I guess you get creeks and rivers on the mountain too. But
even if the hunting wasn't good.
You ain't gotta go
And so
too far
since
for
they
the
spent
woods.
a ton of time
You ain't
in
gotta
the
go
woods
driving
together,
up a mountain.
They noticed almost immediately when they
love
walked
hikes.
into this particular
I love
spot,
hiking!
something was off.
Ah!
Birds, there's no animals. silence. It's just totally silent.
Me too,
The
Jay.
only sounds they heard that were not them was a single plane that passed overhead. Although they found this very odd, they figured, you know what, this is private property, not a lot of people are out here. I'm sure as soon as
No
we showed
animals.
up, the animals were aware of
Means
us.
something's
and they
dangerous.
scattered. They finally make it out to the
'Cause you're
hunting
in the
stand
woods.
that the owner had told them about.
That's you.
They get all
Yeah.
settled in, they're getting ready to see some animals, and all day long, they
Oh.
don't see a single animal.
Oh, all
They
day?
don't hear a single animal. In fact, again,
No
it's
birds?
just completely silent.
I feel like you
Frustrated,
would
they
see a
began packing
bird.
up their stuff, making their way down
You would
off the
hear 'em.
stand, and they started
Or a
looking for a
bunny.
place to make camp for the night. And Eben's father suggested, well, hey, you know, there's obviously nothing over here. It's been quiet all day. Why don't we walk deeper into the woods a little ways, set up camp there, so tomorrow we have a better chance of seeing some animals. So they hiked for about an hour farther away from
I
where
feel
they
like when
parked
he
their
said
truck,
no
and they
animals, he
reached this
probably meant
clearing,
like
which is
deer,
perfect for
like
setting up their
huntable
camp.
animals,
And so they
because
set
there's
up
no
their
way you're not
tent,
seeing
and Eben's father says, hey, you know, we
small
still got some daylight. Do you want to go
animals.
try our luck and see if we can see some animals out here now? Eben's like, yeah, why not? So they hike a little ways away from their campsite, and they set up their blind, and once again, they don't see any animals. It's totally quiet. And so they turn around and they start heading back.
This is good.
As soon as they could
Suspicious.
see their campsite, which really was just their tent, they noticed that their tent was now collapsed. And Eben's father turns to him and says, oh, it must have been the wind. And Eben says,
Must have been the
no,
wind.
it couldn't have been the wind, because all day today we have been commenting on how quiet it is and how the fact that there's no weather, no wind, no anything is heightening the fact that it's completely silent. So it could not have been wind. So Eben's father is like,
Right,
"Wait, when you
jeez.
set the tent up, did
Could
you
not
not
have
put
been
the
wind."
posts into the eyelets? Did you not build it correctly?" And Eben's like, "No, I've made that tent like 1,000 times. I know it was set up correctly." They walk into their campsite and they look down at their tent, and they're really confused at what they see. The two rods that go in an X over
Rods.
the top of the tent that thread through nylon loops and then anchor at 4 different
Pull 'em
points at
out?
the base of the tent, well, they had been removed from the 4 corners. And if you know
Uh-oh.
how a tent works, it
Somebody
works on
did that.
tension. And once you have a rod anchored in 2 points, it doesn't
Alright.
just pop out. It's
Alright,
anchored
you got
at 2
somebody
sides. It's
hunting
actually
you while
difficult
you're
to
hunting.
remove each anchor.
Maybe
Once
like
one is out,
there's
the other
a
comes out
homeless man
easily.
that lives in the
But
woods,
basically, the rod would need
and all the
to
animals
break
just kind of
in
already
order for it to come
dispersed.
out of those anchor points, or
'Cause he lives
someone
there,
would
and
have
he
to
found
come
you
over
guys, and he's
remove
like,
it.
"What the
And
hell?"
they didn't remove them, and none
I'm
of
the only
rods were
homeless guy that
broken,
can live
which
here.
leaves them with either they failed to set up their tent, even though they had distinct and clear memories of
Or there's a
setting it up
homeless guy.
and double checking it was set up because they put gear inside of it, or
What's me?
someone came over to their campsite while they were gone and undid the 4 corners. They decide, you know what, it can't be some stranger coming over here because we're the only ones with the gate combo. This is private property and no one could
Yeah,
have been
anyone
here.
can get through a
and
gate, dude.
why would they do that if they came to our campsite? Why would they randomly collapse our tent and then vanish? So it had to be us. We must have not made the tent. And while they didn't really believe that they had not made their tent, they convinced themselves that that's what happened because the alternative was just
There's a human
too
in there,
bizarre and
boy.
frankly terrifying to consider.
There's a
So they
human
build
in
their
there,
tent,
boy.
and they make a little fire and they stay up for a little while.
You gotta get out of here. There's a human in there. You gotta get out of there. Gonna get you.
Fire, they get in the tent and they both fall asleep. A couple hours later, Evan wakes up.
My thing
suddenly.
is, why
He's
you
not sure if he's dreaming or not, but he thinks he hears
staying
someone
in the
laughing
tent
a
when
couple hundred meters
trying to hunt?
behind their tent off in the woods.
You
Evan
are scaring
instinctively
off
turns to make
stuff.
sure his dad is still in the tent with him, and he is. And then Evan starts listening really intently to what's happening outside. And all he can hear is silence, like it's
Listening.
been since they got in the woods. He doesn't hear any more laughter, and so he says, okay, I must have just been dreaming, and
said
there wasn't
laughter?
any laughter out there. And eventually, Evan goes back to sleep. A little while later, Evan wakes up suddenly again, except this
Skinwalker.
time, his dad is already awake and looking around.
Laughing at
anxiously.
you. He said
And Evan
that
sits up and goes, "What's
tent
going on?"
setup's
And his
mid,
dad
bro.
goes, and he goes, can you hear that? And Evan listens.
I got a better
and to his
tent.
horror, he hears laughing. He wasn't dreaming before. Evan also realizes the laughter is not coming from the same area he heard it. It's now coming from the opposite direction, and it's a lot closer to them. Evan very quietly and carefully
Teleport
explains to his
around.
dad that he actually heard
Little
this
skinwalker
laughter a couple
action.
hours earlier. And Evan's father turns to Evan and says, before we came out here, I asked the owner, should we expect any other hunters or campers or anybody
Yeah.
nearby?
I don't know if
And
I
the
believe
owner
in
said, "This is
skinwalkers or not.
private
I feel like I
property.
do.
It's fenced in. There is
I don't know why I'm
no
being
one
so-
there but you guys." After this revelation,
so,
they both turn their attention back
skeptical.
to just listening because they're hoping this is just going to stop.
Skepticular
Whatever this is
about it.
just going to leave. But it doesn't leave. they hear footsteps running towards them from way off in the forest. And it's so quiet, it's really easy to hear these footsteps. And whatever this is charging towards them. And then it comes to a complete stop right at the edge
scare 'em off.
of their clearing. At this point, Eben is now grabbing onto his father. Eben's father is holding onto his rifle, and he's getting ready to open the tent to confront whatever is out there.
Yeah, get your
And
rifle.
right before he grabs the zipper, this person, whatever it is, starts laughing again, and it's
that's
practically
creepy.
right on top of them. It's so loud. They can hear it clear as
That's
day right there, right
terrifying.
outside their tent. And Eben's father takes a deep breath. He grabs the zipper, and as soon as he begins moving it, the sound the zipper made causes the laughter to stop. They don't hear footsteps, so they know probably something's still out there. But the laughter stops like it's recognized that they're making noise. They're right there. There they are. They're in the tent. Eben's father freezes with his hand on the zipper, and he's debating whether he should go outside or not.
Shoot it.
And before he can even make
Shoot
that
it.
decision, whatever this thing is turns around and runs back into the woods, and it's just gone. And for several minutes, they just sit like that in total silence, praying that whatever
My
this
thing
is
I
gone
feel like
good.
I would believe a
And
hunter
after
about this
several
because they're
minutes, They
super.
don't hear anything. There's no more laughing.
skeptical.
There's no more running. Eben's father rezips
know?
up the tent, puts his hand back
know
down,
what I mean?
and they're both left just sitting there thinking, what the heck just happened? Eben and his father would stay up all night, and they would barely speak because whatever this thing was had heard them when they moved the zipper. And so they were really afraid of making
Man,
any
my thing
sound,
is,
even
why would
little
you stay
sounds,
if you
because it's
heard
so
something like that?
quiet, sound
And it was
travels
unexplainable.
really far.
Even
They
if it was
don't
like a
know who or
human,
what is out there.
and they're playing with
And
you
so
like
in
that, you would probably
silence,
leave.
holding their guns, they're just waiting for the sun to come up. And as soon as it did, they were up and out of there, literally running out
Still,
of the forest,
do
checking over their shoulder the whole
With a
time, all the
flashlight,
way
dude.
back to their truck. And so to this day, they have no idea who or what the heck was running around out there. And they told the owner of the property about it, and the owner just said, it's not possible. We have a totally gated in private piece of property,
Yeah, okay.
and there are cameras watching the only entrance. And you are the only ones that went in or out over that time period. And prior to that, we monitored.
So
this
it
property.
was a
Nobody else was
skinwalker.
in there.
Case closed. Bells came. This is number 1, so it better be good.
In 2016, a 25-year-old Wall Street banker named Matt was camping near Mount Rainier in Washington state. His job was so hectic that in the rare times he got a chance to, he would disappear into the wilderness for a few
I've
days.
never been to Washington, but I think Mount Rainier is pretty.
Clear his head.
See that crap
Despite
up there?
living in one of the biggest cities
That
in the
snow?
world, Matt was actually a
looks
very
huge.
competent outdoorsman. And so for this trip, he decided he would stay way off any trail, deep in the backcountry.
Wall Street guy
in
that's a
random
competent
locations.
outdoorsman.
On the first night, he found a nice clearing
Yeah,
in the
right.
trees, and so he set up his campsite there. He ate some food over his fire,
Get real.
pitched his tent, climbed inside, and within a few minutes, he was fast asleep. Several hours
Drinking out of
later,
cups.
Matt woke up to some
Being a
strange
bitch.
sounds coming from outside of his tent. It sounded like a couple of animals or maybe one animal moving around right outside. And so after a while of just hearing this constant sound,
Coyotes.
he rolled over and he barely unzipped
Coyotes,
his
chat.
tent flap just to look out and see if he could see whatever animal it was. And what he saw shocked him. There was a man sitting in front of his fire pit. There was no fire in his fire pit. And the guy was just sitting there with his hands on his knees,
saw a
looking
man?
straight down, and periodically he would just kick his feet in the ashes of the fire pit.
The hell?
And Matt didn't even know what
the
to
hell?
do, so he's just looking at him through this little tiny gap in his tent. And this man all of a sudden looks up directly at Matt and
He's
makes eye contact with him.
waiting for you
and
to
the
wake
guy's
up.
eyes go wide, and he stands up, turns around, and runs away from Matt's
Oh.
campsite. Matt has
If he's
no
shocked,
idea how to
then he's
react to
probably a
this,
homeless
and so he
man.
just quickly unzips his tent, jumps outside, and shines his light into the forest looking for this guy. He's thinking to himself, who is this guy? I am in the middle of
a homeless
nowhere in the
man.
backcountry of Washington State. How long was he sitting outside there for? What does he want?
is kinda
And so
creepy.
as Matt is trying to make sense of this totally weird thing, he's thinking, okay, I'm going to look out and I'm going to see his flashlight somewhere, or I'm going to see his campsite.
think he had a
maybe he's
flashlight,
set up
dude.
nearby, and he's looking around into the total darkness. He's looking through all the trees. Any light source anywhere out there he would see. And there's not one. There's
You're not
no
gonna see
fire, there's no
nothing.
flashlight.
Maybe
there
a
is
truck.
nothing. And so eventually Matt goes back inside of his tent, he zips it up, and he's just left kind of dumbfounded. He can't understand how some person was just sitting outside of his tent for no apparent reason and then vanished into the forest without even turning on a flashlight.
Damn.
And so after a very restless night,
That-
finally the sun came
that
up again,
chat was a
and Matt was
ghost.
very relieved. He stepped outside, And after a little bit of
JK.
time now from this strange
JK was
incident,
close.
Matt started to tell himself that all that was is some guy happened to set up his campsite nearby. It is possible, albeit rare, because we're in the backcountry, and maybe he was just intoxicated and he wandered over here, and stranger things have happened. So that's probably all it was. And so Matt felt like there was nothing to worry about. He packed up his campsite and he began hiking into the forest. Matt didn't have a planned route. Instead, he had a map and a compass.
That's a pretty forest.
He
I
began
love
just kind of
Redwood.
wandering in the forest, kind of exploring where he wanted to go. And over the next 2 days, he covered at least 10, maybe 15 miles in kind of random zigzag directions. He found a nice clearing and he set up another campsite. That night, he set up a fire and he was eating some food near his fire. And then as he's sitting there, he hears rustling coming from behind him. And he's pretty sure it's an animal, so he turns around and he doesn't see anything. And he goes back to eating his food. And then a little while later, he hears some more rustling behind him. And this time, he can't really just write it off. Clearly, there's something behind him that's moving around.
Probably not an animal.
Up, turned around and remained motionless and just listened, expecting to see maybe a deer come out of the woods.
I don't know, dude. If you're scared, just get out of there.
Voice come out of the darkness that says,
or beat it up.
To Bell's Canyon.
And Matt's heart starts racing.
Oh.
He knows that even though he can't see him, it has to be the same guy he saw 2 days ago.
Okay. This is either a ghost story or that is some dude out there just literally like lost. Maybe he's like embarrassed?
Because
I don't
they are
think
in the
he would
middle
be
of nowhere.
embarrassed.
He hasn't seen any other hikers or campers or anyone.
It's ghost!
And clearly this guy has the ability to sneak up on him. And so he's thinking, what does this guy want? I just spent the past 2 days hiking in random directions for 15 miles.
I mean, he wants to
and
know
he
how to
must
get to
have
Bell's
followed
Canyon.
me. And so Matt, not knowing what else to do, just says, I don't know where Bell's Canyon is. And then there's silence. And Matt, one part of him is thinking, I hope this guy does not come into the light. I hope he just goes away. The other part of him is thinking,
just some
well,
dude stories. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Is a different
also,
person
the fact that
is
it's
lost.
just stories,
They're looking for
it
this
gives
place
me
called
no
Bell's Canyon, and they'll come into the light.
proof.
It'll be a
I mean,
big
I guess
relief. I'll
chills
send them
are
on
just
their merry
stories.
way,
Sometimes
and
there's
everything will be
videos.
fine. But as Matt is having this wishful thinking, the voice from the shadows does not
does
come any
well, though.
closer, but instead asks the same question, a bit more forcefully this time.
Do you know how to get to Bell's Canyon?
This time, Matt
Bro,
does
help
not
him get to
respond.
Bell's
Now
Canyon.
was
He needs
scared.
help.
This is not some friendly hiker looking for directions. There's something wrong. And so Matt, knowing he's all alone out here, he knew he had to do something to try to take control of this situation. And so he took a deep breath, he reached down and grabbed his flashlight, and in one swift motion, he lifted his light up and shined it
Stop
in the
doing that
direction of this
motion.
guy's voice. And what he saw was this guy from 2 days ago looking out from behind a tree right in Matt's direction.
Do you know how to get to Bell's
And
Canyon?
when the light hit him, the man barked at Matt to aim it away. And Matt kind of instinctively rolled his light, but now he's
get it
too scared
away.
to raise it again, and now he knows it's the same
Do you
guy.
know how to get to Bell's
This guy has been
Arr!
following me for 2 days.
Turn the light off.
So for several minutes, Matt just stood there, absolutely terrified. And this guy, he just stayed out there. Matt didn't hear him move. It was just a complete standstill. And then the silence was broken again by this voice, except somehow he had moved even closer to Matt.
Yeah, that's
And
what
when
I
he
was saying.
came
I feel like
through
these
asking
days
the same
people
question,
Do you know how to get to Bell's Canyon?
like
his voice
less
was so
and
close
less
to Matt
real
that Matt got
videos on their
scared and
scary
raised his
videos
light up,
channels.
and the man was standing just a few feet away from him. And this time, the man's eyes got wide like they did the first time they saw Matt, and he turned around and he ran into the forest again. Matt, not knowing any better, just began running after him, but he only ran for about 30 seconds before he realized the terrain out here is so rough. He's gonna fall, get hurt, he's gonna get lost, and this guy's already long gone. He somehow managed to run immediately so far away. And so Matt just goes back to his campsite, and he's thinking to himself, what do I do? I have no cell phone service. I'm at least 3 days away from my car, and I'm in the middle of nowhere. No one even knows where I am.
going
because I
that
didn't
far,
chart a
brother?
course. I didn't tell anyone where I was going to be. And so Matt just grabbed his
was a
knife and
ghost for
stood
sure.
in the middle of the campsite, and for hours and hours he just kept looking around, expecting this guy to just show up again or start speaking to him.
The
from
real
somewhere
cryptids
out
were the
in
friends they made
darkness.
along the
It
trail,
was
honestly.
absolutely
The real
horrifying.
cryptids were the
Finally,
homeless
by
people
about
you
3 in the
see
morning,
out 3
Matt
days
was
away from the
so
trail.
tired that he had to go to sleep. He hadn't heard this guy again. He didn't see him again.
That
He
had to
figured,
have been
I need a little bit of sleep because tomorrow he's gonna pack up
That
his
probably
campsite
was
and
a
begin this
ghost.
epic journey back to his
I
car.
don't really believe in
So he climbed
ghosts,
his
but,
tent,
like,
and he had a very restless next couple
Who's
of
surviving
hours.
out there? I
When the
mean,
sun
yeah,
came
he's
up,
like looking
Matt
for
jumped
the
out of his tent, packed up his stuff,
Canyon,
and began
but
practically
he doesn't like the
running
light,
in the direction of his car.
which is
All
weird.
day, as he was hiking, Matt kept looking over his shoulder, expecting to see this guy, because clearly he had followed him for multiple days,
I don't
over
know.
15
Ghosts?
miles.
Do you believe
and
in
so
ghosts?
the likelihood that he's still following him was really
don't know
high.
yet.
And so all
I feel
day,
like
Matt
I'm
just felt like he was being
mostly
watched.
no,
he was totally
but
terrified. And
with
then the sun
something like
started
that,
to
it's
go down,
just-
and Matt knew he would have to camp out again. And so he found a clearing.
I don't
in
think
the
a human
trees,
could
he
survive
set
out
up his
there, like-
campsite, and he was so tired from running basically
know.
all day and being
It was
so
only
mentally
3 days.
exhausted from
Listen, how long do you think you could survive? If you were in the Washington woods, the redwoods, there are probably, definitely bears. Moose, maybe? Bunch of different smaller animals. Badgers, freaking, mountain lions probably. Maybe wolves. I don't think a human's surviving out there. Even 3 days away from the trail or your car, if you get turned around, you get lost. I got lost on a lake trail once. For a very small lake that shouldn't even be called a lake, it was more like a river. I got lost until dark one time, back when I was like, probably like 15 or 16, and couldn't get back, and it took an extra like 3 hours to get back. So I feel like 3 whole days of walking, you could definitely get lost. And just either be that guy stuck out there for some reason you're scared of the light and you only come in the nighttime, or that was a ghost. I don't know.
from this experience that he just got in his tent and fell asleep very quickly. But several hours later, he woke up to the sound of somebody walking around his tent.
Why is he only
knew
coming at night?
had
It doesn't
to be
make
this
sense.
guy. He's still in the middle of nowhere. He's not even close to the parking lot yet. And so this guy is still following him. And so Matt sat up
That's
in his
true,
tent, he
'cause,
clutched
like,
his knife,
out in the
and for
woods,
hours and hours and hours,
What are
all
ghost
night, this guy
spirits?
just
What are they
walked around
tied
his
to? Are they
campsite.
tied to the
And then
house?
around
Are they
4 or
tied
5 in
to
the morning,
like
he scampered off.
a
When the
little
sun
aura
finally came
energy
up, Matt
area?
leapt out of his tent, packed up his stuff,
'Cause
and
how can you
literally
haunt
just
the
began
woods? Is it
running
just
in the
this spot
direction
in
of
the
his
woods?
car, hoping
You got
that maybe
unlucky.
he could get there before needing to camp
guy,
out
like,
one
died
more
right
night.
there.
And so all day as he moved, he's looking over his shoulder, knowing this guy is following him. At this point, it's not even a question. He's somewhere in the forest, but he could never see him. And unfortunately, as the sun was setting, he knew he was not going to be able to make it to his car. He was just too far away. And so at some point, when
Okay,
it got
so the
too
dude
dark
was
to
walking
keep
around
moving, he had to find a
in the
clearing and set
afternoon.
up his tent again. And so Matt
For the
climbed inside
evening.
of his tent, he zipped it up behind him, he grabbed his knife, and he sat there, expecting to hear this guy come walking around.
a
But
knife.
after several hours, he didn't hear him.
No.
Matt started to wonder, maybe this guy has left me alone, finally. Maybe he's not following me anymore. And so Matt, who was totally exhausted, laid down to go to sleep. And then, as he's laying there from
I wouldn't
somewhere
waste
out
my
in the
energy
woods,
on it, dude.
You know
I
how
would
to
just...
get to Bell's Canyon?
Matt immediately
Do you know how to get to Bell's Canyon? Are you gonna answer me this time? Or are you just gonna keep shining that light in my eyes, blinding the heck out of me, making me run away and come back the next night? You know I can't come out in the daylight, bro. Do you know how to get to Bell's Canyon? Bro, I've been out here 3 days asking you. You're the only guy I can ask for directions. You gotta know.
sat up.
He's just
heart began
mad.
racing so fast that he actually was concerned he might have a heart attack. And he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to say, so he just sat there holding his knife. And then this guy began running past his campsite, making animal sounds. And he would stop periodically and moan and grunt. And he'd pick up leaves. And then he'd run past his campsite again, over and over.
Is it just a crazy guy that lives in the woods
until the sun
then?
finally came
It
up.
might
and
just
this
be a
guy
dude.
scampered off back into the woods. Matt didn't waste any time.
Maybe
He
that's
leapt
why he
out of
doesn't
his
like
tent,
the
packed his stuff up, and
light.
ran all the way back to his car. When he finally got inside of his car, shut the door,
He just,
and
like,
locked
lost
it,
his mind.
He cried tears of joy. He was so
Yeah, get the hell
unbelievably
out of there,
relieved.
brother.
And he peeled out of the parking lot. He got to a nearby hotel. He
You know
finally
how to
got
get to
cell phone
Bell's Canyon?
reception, and he considered calling the police about this guy.
Yeah.
But he thought, you know, what am I
That's
gonna
probably
tell
just
them?
a crazy
He didn't commit a crime. He was
dude
just
out there.
terrifying. And
He
so
might-
he
he's
decided
probably
not to call the
homeless,
police.
living out there.
He finally flew back to New York, and he just had to accept that there was some
This Wall
strange
Street
guy
guy.
out in the wilderness of Washington State.
You see what I'm saying? Hold on, chat. Cox Internet! Cox Internet, if you're hearing me, I'm going to come for you. I'm gonna find you. It's your last day on this earth, I swear! Calm down. I'm alright. That is the third time today! Sorry, I'm yelling at you. This is the third time today that the internet has gone out. And it went out like 6 times yesterday. It was barely sprinkling. Ain't nothing happening. The sky is blue outside right now. And I don't know why. Cox and no ballin'. We got Cox, but we ain't got no ballin'. Because we got rid of him for the Cox. And then Cox went poof. Because it said no Cox without ballin'. And I said, damn. Because I can't do nothing about that. But yeah, Cox Internet, count your freaking days. I can't wait to move. This is also partially why I kind of want to just start streaming like a lot more often. Probably like twice, maybe 3 times a week. Hopefully up to every day. When I get into my new apartment. But I'm gonna be working full time. It's a remote job, so it's not that bad. But I'm going to be working from like freaking until like 7 p.m. So I'm gonna have late streams, sadly. And weekend streams I can do whenever. I might do normal time weekend streams, but until then, we're sticking to once a week, maybe twice if I'm feeling it. I might throw a couple surprise streams in if I got the time. But yeah. Last stream. Oh, this is going to be the last story until we go play games. The surprise game. So stay tuned. Let's read. I don't want to read.
Before I joined the park service, I used to work as a trail guide for a company based out of Groveland near eastern Yosemite.
Okay, so it says these are true. One moment. I gotta check the this. This is true. Alright. Always the ones that actually happen. Alright. I mean, actually happened from this person's point of view. But I don't know. You never know.
Yosemite. It was awesome work, and for the most part, all the memories I have of it are happy ones. But there's one job I remember for all the wrong reasons. I was guiding a group of young corporate types up Half Dome in one of those team bonding exercises. A lot of jobs were kind of like that, especially around the holidays. We'd take them up to Little Yosemite Valley, and then set them up for a night around the campfire, and then take them up Half Dome the next morning.
Redditor
This bunch, 4 men and 3 women, seemed pretty average. Some were a little more comfortable than others being outdoors, but they didn't strike me as trouble. But the next day, as we were taking a break coming back down Half Dome, we heard a scream. While the rest of us rested our legs and got some water, 2 of the men had gone off to take pictures of the view overlooking the valley.
Take pictures?
Maybe a minute or 2 later, we heard a god-awful yell coming through the trees. Then one of the men came running back looking scared to death. He said his buddy was taking a picture near the edge of a cliff when he'd suddenly slipped and fell.
Jorking your paniner at the edge of a raging volcano when you accidentally slip on a banana peel and fall in.
I had an idea of how bad it was just from his expression, but when I got there...
Wait. So his friend slipped, and like he ran back to the other dude, and he was like, "Hey, he slipped off the cliff. Yeah, call the cops or something."
Worse. The guy was lying at the bottom of a steep slope. Not quite a sheer fall-off type of cliff, but All the tumbling he'd done on the way down had left him in a really bad way.
Get him some rope.
He'd fallen maybe 200 feet down this slope.
Okay,
He
Chad.
wasn't.
Damn. 200 feet's a lot of feet. Think about your foot times 200.
Moving, and he wasn't making any noise.
Yeah, he's
I asked
dead.
the group that I was
In
guiding to
Minecraft,
keep away from that slope
this is
and
what
to
happens in
gather where
Minecraft.
we'd just been resting until I got back. I needed to run down the trail to find a gentler portion of slope to scramble down so I could administer first aid to that wounded man, and I needed them all safe and in one place so
Do
I
they
could
not
find
have
them
service?
afterwards.
They probably not have service.
Everyone agreed except for the taller guy who'd seen the fall, as he insisted on helping in some way. He looked to be in decent shape and able to keep up, so we took off down the trail at jogging pace as I radioed for help from HQ.
Yeah, there you go.
I remember as we were running, the tall guy kept asking me about the dude that had fallen, saying stuff like, "Do you think he's dead?" And I told him I had no idea. Some people survive
Bitch,
some
do
crazy
you?
falls.
You're the one that saw
Not
it.
always in
Tell
one
me.
piece, but they still survive. And this seemed to reassure him a little, but not by much.
Damn,
As we
poor
kept
dude saw it.
running, I relayed a more
He's just
detailed
peak IRL,
description of our
ragdoll pro-
location to HQ.
Yeah, he hit the dead
My
emote.
boss had been in touch
Play dead emote. I did that once.
with the park
I ain't
rangers
come back
who were
from it.
sending out ATVs in a life flight. I tried to describe where we were as best I could.
Rookie mistake.
But after that, it became a case of trying to get the ATV's attention when they arrived in the area so they didn't roll past us and waste valuable minutes. The taller guy and I kept on running
keep this
until
guy
we
alive,
found
you're
a
gonna get a
gentler
chopper.
slope we could get down, and then we made our way down to the bottom, careful not to
helicopter,
trip and make
helicopter.
our own selves casualties. At the bottom, we ran around back to where the guy had fallen, and when we got there, we were
was
greeted
gone.
by what was probably the worst thing I'd ever seen on the job.
He was dead.
That fallen man had multiple fractures, severe abrasions to his face and head, and he was completely unconscious.
At
But
least he
after
was
a quick
passed
check
out.
of his pulse, I found that
That's
he
good.
was actually still alive. I radioed HQ again and told my boss that somehow our guy was still around. And that was the good news. But the bad news was that the state of his injuries meant that he was probably
Good
quickly
news, he's
running
still
out of
alive.
time.
Bad news, not for long.
My boss said that he'd pass
Yeah.
that on to the Rangers, and then after giving that injured man what little first aid we could, what came next was essentially just a waiting game. We had to stay put and hope either the ATVs or that life flight spotted us in time. It was tense,
Okay.
very tense.
Oh, I thought he said life
and the taller guy
flight.
kept asking, "Is he dead? Can you hear us?"
Bruh.
And all that kind of stuff.
Are you 12?
He kept trying to talk
People
to
that
this guy,
ask that,
saying,
like, is he dead? I don't know, dude. Put your finger, like, check his pulse. Am I God?
"You're gonna be okay, man. Just hang in there."
I
I
think
didn't
he's
think the
alive.
injured man could hear him, but I wasn't about to interrupt him
I
when
hear him in
he
there.
was essentially trying to make himself feel better. But then after, he started saying
Oh,
stuff
life
like,
flight? Yeah.
"He
Okay.
just tripped, man. There was nothing
Hell
I could have
yeah.
done. One second I was looking
That's what
through my
you need.
camera, and the next he was just tumbling down that slope."
Yeah, it's a
I
slope,
tried
yeah.
my best to
Rocks, yeah.
reassure him that accidents happen in the wilderness, and he kind of echoed that same point in the next thing he said. But there was something about the way he said it that just didn't
Did
sound right to
his
me.
friend push
And the
him?
thing he said was, "It wasn't my fault."
Oh, he did that. I was thinking that was sussy. The tall guy kept asking if he was dead because he wanted him to be dead. He was like, "You dead yet?"
I know that makes sense for him to say
Rick!
something like that, and hearing it read out
supposed
loud
to
like
die!
that, it's probably not going
You're
to raise
not
any
to
red flags
die!
for you. But
I
at
was
the
gonna
time,
get your health
it
care.
sounded like
I
he
was
wasn't
gonna
trying
marry
to
your wife.
reassure his buddy anymore. He was trying to reassure himself. I've seen some pretty bad accidents and injuries during my time. Everything from animal attacks to accidental
I was
like
young.
that wasn't my fault. I know that makes sense for him to say something like that, and hearing it read out loud like that, it's probably not going to raise any red flags for you. But at the time,
No.
it sounded like he wasn't trying to reassure his buddy anymore. He was trying to reassure himself. I've seen some pretty bad accidents and injuries during my time. Everything from animal attacks to accidental shootings. And every single time, I'm amazed by how selfless folks can be. They'll rip up their own shirts and use them as tourniquets, or offer to carry the injured person for miles and miles without a break. What they want, what's good for their well-being, that isn't important anymore. Priorities have been totally rearranged, and it's all about the injured person.
Not the only
always.
thing rearranged.
So when this guy started talking about himself, repeating how the injured
Like
man had
bones.
suddenly slipped and it totally wasn't his fault, I'm thinking, this guy's a total douche. And that's legitimately all I was thinking, that the taller guy was some kind of self-centered a-hole, and I didn't devote any more brain power to it because I had obviously more important things to worry about. I was 110% focused on the horizon, eyes and ears peeled for any sign or sound of the ATVs or the
Now it's
helicopters,
getting
so
suspicious, dude.
I let the
Why you keep
comments
saying
slide
that?
and carried on trying to do my job.
My eyeball is switching.
The taller guy started freaking out again and asking me a whole bunch of questions. I told him to shut up and check the injured man's pulse.
Chill.
It was weak, but it was still there. I remember saying a silent prayer for someone to show up soon. This sort of full-body sensation of like trying to force something into being. And then after a few more minutes of feeling my hope start to
Manifesting.
dwindle, I heard the sound of ATV engines getting louder and louder as they came round that mountain. Myself and that
Round
tall
that
man
mountain.
started yelling and jumping up and down, waving our arms. And then, that's when they saw us. The guys on the ATVs came in fast with a stretcher and some first
I'm
aid.
tired.
They not only had the gear to stop the injured man's bleeding, but they also had the GPS and the
I had no
radios to tell that
Celsius
air
today,
ambulance
chat.
exactly where it needed to land so they could get him on board as fast as possible. It was a terrible thing to happen, and all my sympathies were with that injured man, but those rangers were incredible to watch.
I
They kept
need
their
a
heads cool
Celsius.
while dealing with injuries so bad I could
Real,
barely look at
real
them. And then
bad.
just as they were getting the injured man on their stretcher, we all
Man,
had to
I can't watch this. I'm thinking about Celsius. You know, my gas station, I got a lot of gas stations, but there's one gas station that had always kept in stock the mango lemonade Celsius, which is a newish flavor. It's my favorite flavor. But lately, I've been getting nothing but the tropicals. Because they took it away. They took the row of mango lemonade Celsius out of the gas station, and they replaced it with a second row of tropicals. Why? To hurt me? What did I do? Except buy out the whole stock.
sound of rotor blades booming above us as that
My
air
bad.
ambulance flew into view. It was like seeing an angel coming down from heaven. Not so much the sight
like a
of it,
little
of
Celsius
course, but
with wings.
the feeling I got when I saw that crazy brave pilot suddenly pitch and turn in the air above us. They were heroes in the truest sense of the word,
Look at you.
putting their own
With that
bodies on the
thing.
line just to save a few seconds,
Hell yeah.
because a couple of seconds could be the difference between life and death.
It's true. And
The
that's his
helicopter
job.
landed not far from us. Then the two rangers picked up the stretcher and
Yeah.
then ran over to the thing as it set down, but kept its blades
You know
spinning.
what I hate? This makes me want to watch more videos. I hate when service members, service employees like policemen, firemen, it's not usually firemen. EMS, it's not usually EMS. I guess this helicopter guy is technically helicopter EMS, but he's probably cool as frick. He whipped it. So yeah, just police. I hate it when they don't put themselves on the line like they say they're heroes, all day, every day. They're like, we're the ones keeping you from the bad guys. We're the wall. We're gonna keep you safe. And like I saw like a mass shooting video the other day, and it was a whole slew of cops, and it was in a grocery store, and they just were hiding. They just wouldn't go past the automatic open doors with their bulletproof shield in little diamond formation, going out the other two doors. And the guy in the front ended up being the only not fraidy cat, and he went in and he got killed. And he was like a, long-time cop. He'd been there for a long time because, he knew what he was doing. He was assuming. I guess he didn't have much training. But I was assuming. He was assuming they were going to do what I thought they were going to do and go around. And, it was just one gunman. Go around through the front door and have other guys go through the back door and just kind of surround him. Because they had a lot more manpower. Like 15 dudes. 15 cops. And they didn't do that. They were scared and they backed up and they called in SWAT. The one guy died. He bled out on the ground in Minecraft. And they called in so much backup. They moved cars all around. They took a big armored vehicle with a claw and they broke the windows out so they could see better. And they took a drone and flew it through and did all this stuff for an hour. Literally, the body cam was an hour. And obviously, the guy went around and all the people he had injured, he went around and he executed them. You could hear gunshots every so often, and he, sure enough, executed them and the cop when those dudes could have gone in with the first cop in the first place and got his ass. This is crazy. And I'm pretty sure it just happened. I don't know. I don't think it was this year. Maybe past couple years, and it was in Colorado. It makes me want to watch body cam footage. Okay, this is a long. I'm gonna watch just the rest of this one, and then, God, what time is it? I want to watch more video, man. 7:40. Go! I haven't even played my game yet. I'm supposed to get off at 8:30. I might do a surprise stream later on in the week. Okay, so I'm going to finish these videos, and then I'm going to show you the game. We're going to play the game, the next stream. And I don't know if it's going to be on Friday. My internet's being stupid, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see what day it decides to be okay. But...
Spinning. The door swung open as the Rangers got close, and then 2 medics hopped out to help them haul the stretcher into the belly of that chopper.
What else could possibly happen?
They hopped back in before the Rangers backed off, then after the door slammed close, they took off and disappeared behind that mountain again. The Rangers ran back over to us as the sound of those rotor blades eventually faded. One of them asked where the rest of the group was.
Is this where they...
When we explained that we were further up the trail, they gave me and the tall guy a ride back up to them.
What's the word?
Then slowly but surely, they helped us all get back down the valley floor before we made our way back to camp. Looking back on it, I feel like I should have noticed sooner, but it wasn't until everyone was back at camp that I started to notice something about the tall guy.
Yeah.
Every other member of the group seemed devastated, truly heartbroken that something so terrible and random could have happened to them on what was supposed to be a fun team-building exercise.
I'm supposed to kill him,
but the tall guy seemed almost, how do you really even put this, distant. He didn't seem to do any kind of grieving or hurting on his own. He just walked around offering cold comfort like it was nothing but a chance to display leadership capabilities. It was strange. And he even repeated what he said about it not being his fault. And then while reassuring everyone that there was nothing he could have done to stop it,
it was definitely your fault, dude, if you keep saying
witnessing the
that.
fall was traumatizing to him, it seemed like he was trying to divert a little of that sympathy onto himself. That time, instead of just thinking of what an asshole, I remember thinking, okay, now this is strange.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, I understand that seeing something like that is a terrible thing,
bro.
and it has an awful effect on a person's mind.
You trying to fuck that guy? You trying to
maybe
say
it's
fuck
just
that
something
guy?
that you had to be there for.
Not like that!
Word on the fact that something about the way the guy was behaving just didn't pass the smell test.
I need to stop cussing too, dude. I've cussed 10 times already this stream, but when I cuss, I need y'all to tell me. I need to replace it with something. I was thinking I could replace it with meow, but it's not gonna happen unless I force it. So when I cuss, type meow in the chat.
So to speak. It had a lot to do with something
Hello,
I
meow.
heard that
I'll
previous
start
night,
meowing instead of
but
cussing.
I'll get to that point later on. Now anyways, I waited with the group at the Valley campsite till their ride showed up, and then I made my
He's gonna
way back
find this
to
guy out.
headquarters to fill my boss in on everything crazy that had happened.
Now I'm here for it.
I went through the whole thing with him, start to finish, and then when I was done, I told him what I'd been